Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Joy Ravella. Let's get into today's verse.
Teach us to use wisely all the time we have. That's from Psalms 90:12 CEV version.
Once again, I have got Jen here in studio with me.
Hello.
Jen, how you going?
I'm alright. It's been a great day.
How has your baby girl been doing?
She's a mini hurricane. She's been causing havoc in the house. Her toys are literally everywhere. Please stop sending toys.
What would you like as a gift from someone instead of toys for Chelsea?
Take her away. Just for a bit, like maybe an hour. Take her away and just play with her.
Essentially, the best gift someone could give you is the gift of time for yourself. Because as a young mum, because she's 18 months now,
Yes,
is
she
that
is.
right? I even did the month thing. Did you see that?
I don't do that.
You'd say a year and a half.
Yes.
But yeah, time is so incredibly precious, and that's a really big aspect of the verse we're looking at today. Psalm chapter 90 verse 12, teach us to use wisely all the time we have. My first impression of this verse is that I do not use my time wisely. And I was watching this thing on YouTube the other day where this guy was saying, it was Eddie Murphy. Yeah. He was saying, you have maximum 75 summers, 75 springs, 75 opportunities to be with your family for Christmas.
Ooh. And
I was like, I actually couldn't finish watching that video because all of a sudden I was like, I have wasted my life. I'm halfway through the 75 if I'm lucky.
I can't believe 75. What a number.
I guess what I'm trying to say is what this verse reminds me of, I think, is the value of time. And sometimes I can get so wrapped up in the present, I forget that I don't have forever here and I should make the most of the time that I do have, like this verse says. What about you?
Similar to you, I think of that time is precious and it's limited. It just makes me really desperate to use my time for things that I love.
Yeah.
And not spending time on, the mundane things. But we do need to do that. But focus on the love part. Wisely stands out to me. I keep thinking, am I spending my time in a right way? Similar to yourself. Am I packing in too much?
Yeah. And as a young mum as well, do you feel the pressure, she's growing up so fast? Do you feel a little bit like the way you view time has changed?
Yes, very, very. I feel like I just blinked and she just shot up.
What does this verse, Jen, tell you about who God is or what matters to him?
Yeah. This verse shows me that God wants us to enjoy the life that he designed for us. He wanted us to be happy. He wanted us to experience this life. And it's his way of reminding us. It's his way of nicely reminding us, your time is running out.
How has this verse come alive for you, especially as a mum? Because you mentioned to me that your life is basically split into two parts, pre-Chelsea and post-Chelsea. Tell me a little bit about that and how it links to this verse.
Yeah, it's so funny that God's given me this verse today to chat about because I've been battling with this because of pre and post-Chelsea. It's completely different now. So before I was a mother, it was just about me. I spent my time on work, my relationships, and my hobbies of eating, and reading, and gaming, and Netflixing. Yep. We all love doing that. And I connect with God through life group. We were heavily involved with church and doing the daily Bible readings and being a really, really nice Christian in that way. So that was the before. That was the pre-Chelsea. Now the post-Chelsea, now that I'm a mother and my time looks completely different because now Chelsea, she's the main character of my story now. Now I connect with some of the life group members and occasionally stream church online. Thank you, internet. And I'm finding the biggest chunk of my me time is when my daughter's asleep. So at night, I'm one of those mothers at night. I'm furiously going through my phone, putting it on the lowest brightness, and I'm going through. I'm where's the latest motivational Bible reading? And let's go find a really nice short Bible study. And so a lot of it's in the dark at the moment. And also this podcast is a godsend.
Aww.
It's 10 minutes. I'm doing my makeup. I'm listening to you, Joy. It's been so incredibly helpful, and it's reconnecting. It's helping me connect.
Thank you. And I did not ask you to say that, did I?
No, she didn't. She didn't. There go. A lot of it
on the record there. But I love what you have to you're sharing about the fact that your life changed and the time available to you changed.
Yes.
And so you've obviously now got to make the most of the time that you do have, which is not a lot. What would be sort of your life hacks or your finishing thoughts on someone who's really pressed for time? Because it's not just young mums, it's those who are maybe starting a business, it's uni students who are working at the same time, it's people who are trying to make ends meet and working multiple jobs. There's so many different scenarios where people find themselves time poor. What are your tips and tricks on maximizing the time and finding times to spend with God?
One little trick that I've heard from work is put a little 30 minutes schedule in your diary. So you block it out. So you can't put any other meetings around it, and just sit there and pray, or sit there and go find a little Bible study group. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hours. Just zone into that little moment. And this is my work in progress. And I believe there's a lot of mums or a lot of those who are starting a new business, like you said. It's a work in progress. And it's something that you can work with God as well. And He'll give you that time. He'll show you the little gems. So for those who are going through this journey as well, let's find this rhythm together.
Today's conversation is all about time and making the most of the time that you have. I wanted to share with you a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes for me at home. So my husband, we've recently married. I think we are coming up to 6 months shortly, but a big part of our relationship involves making the most of his commute time. So he travels to work and he's in the car for about an hour and a half to an hour 45, and then the same length of time back. And it was a huge drain, and honestly it still is. We got to a point where we honestly had to sit down and say to ourselves, there is nothing that we can do about this. We can't insert more hours into the day. But is there a way to make the most of the hours you're spending in the car? Now, it's not a perfect solution, but we figured out that if we downloaded some audiobooks and subscribed to a few different platforms, listening to podcasts and such, that could be a really good thing for Ari to do. But another thing that we do is we utilize that time as our catch-up time. So we talk about our day, we talk about our plans, we talk about things we want to do over the weekend. We sort out so many things during that time that by the time Ari comes home, we're kind of talked out a little bit, and we can focus on other things like maybe watching an episode together or making dinner. But we really had to work at it. We really had to brainstorm and find all these different ways and methods to make this time count. And maybe for you, that's what you need to do today. You need to sprinkle a little bit of creativity. We can't add more hours into the day, and many times we are at the mercy of other situations and we just simply don't have the ability to switch things around. However, changing the way we view the opportunity can change the way we tackle it. So maybe for you, you are just like Jen, a stay-at-home mum, and you cannot find time for yourself. You cannot find time for much anything else. Maybe podcasts actually would be a really good friend for you right now, a way for you to stay connected, to hear other adult voices in the middle of the chaos, but also give you hope and inspiration. Maybe for you, you work in an industry where you can't actually listen to podcasts or have the time to read a book. I wonder if this could be a really great time for you to invest in an ongoing dialogue with God. We often imagine prayer as this thing where you do by the side of your bed before you go to sleep. You've got your arms clasped together, you've got your knees on the ground, head bowed, and that's one way of connecting with God. But actually, you could be in communication with Him all day. And maybe that's a way to make most of your time. Now, maybe for you, you've been trying all of those different things and you're still struggling. You just don't have enough time in the day. My encouragement to you is this. This too shall pass. The season you're in right now and the busyness of it will pass. Sometimes circumstances change, forcing things to change. Sometimes you need to make some choices to take things off your plate. Sometimes it requires reprioritizing and deciding what really matters to you. Either way, time is a beautiful, precious gift. We get to choose how we use it. Many times we don't have a lot of choice around it, but we can always choose to get creative with it. That's it for today's podcast episode on the Everyday Joy podcast. And maybe you've got some specific feedback or an episode you really enjoyed, or maybe there's a topic you just want to hear more about. Flick through an email. The details are on the episode links below. Catch up with you next time.